Captain Kyle Morrison stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, staring at the holographic display before him. The image showed the Galactic Council chamber, where representatives from 12 different alien species argued about the latest crisis. His ship floated quietly in orbit around the Council station, waiting for orders that he knew would come soon. Kyle had been a diplomat for Earth for 15 years now. He had learned to smile politely when the other species made jokes about humanity's weak military. He had learned to nod respectfully when they questioned why Earth even had a seat on the Council. Most of all, he had learned to keep secrets. Dr. Lisa Grant walked up beside him carrying a datapad. She was the ship's chief scientist and cultural expert. Her job was to study the alien species and help humanity understand them better. But lately, she had been studying something else entirely. "Captain, I found something strange in the old files," Lisa said quietly. She glanced around to make sure no one else was listening. "Our intelligence division has been watching every major war in this galaxy for 300 years. Every single one. They have detailed reports, battle analyses, weapon specifications. Why would we need all that if we're just a peaceful trading species?" Kyle looked at her carefully. He had wondered the same thing many times. Earth's public military consisted of about 50 old ships that looked like they could barely fight off pirates. Yet somehow, humanity had survived in a galaxy full of aggressive empires for 2 centuries. "Maybe we just like to be prepared," Kyle said, but his voice lacked conviction. Before Lisa could respond, an alert sounded across the bridge. The council session had been interrupted. On the display, a large reptilian alien pushed its way to the center of the chamber. Kyle recognized it immediately. Warlord Thexkar of the Kralix Empire. The Kralix were known throughout the galaxy as brutal conquerors. They had destroyed dozens of smaller civilizations and enslaved countless others. For years, the Council had tried to contain them through diplomacy and economic sanctions. It had not worked. "The Kralix Empire has an announcement," Thexkar said, his voice a deep growl that translated through the universal communication system. "We are expanding our territory. Several systems currently occupied by lesser species will become part of our empire. This includes 3 human colony worlds." A murmur went through the council chamber. The other species looked uncomfortable, but no one spoke up. The Kralix military was powerful. No single council species wanted to fight them alone, and getting everyone to agree on joint military action was nearly impossible. The human ambassador, Chen Wei, stood up slowly. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. Kyle had always admired how Chen never seemed nervous, even in difficult situations. "The Kralix Empire cannot simply take inhabited worlds," Chen said firmly. "This violates every treaty and law that governs this council." Thexkar laughed, a harsh sound that made several aliens flinch. "And what will humanity do about it? Send your pathetic fleet to stop us? We have counted your ships, human. You have fewer than 60 combat vessels, all of them outdated. My empire commands over 400 warships of the latest design. If you resist, we will sweep you aside like dust." Chen Wei remained calm. "We sincerely hope it does not come to that." The other council members interpreted this as fear. Kyle could see it in their faces. They thought humanity would surrender without a fight. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked relieved that the Kralix had chosen humanity as their target instead of their own species. The council session ended without any resolution. The Kralix were given 48 hours to reconsider their position, but everyone knew they would not back down. Kyle received his orders within the hour. He was to take the Pathfinder to New Horizon, one of the 3 threatened colonies, and begin evacuation procedures. He was specifically ordered not to engage the Kralix fleet under any circumstances. "This does not make sense," said Sophie Mitchell, one of the ship's young pilots. She had joined the crew only 6 months ago, fresh from the academy. "We are just going to run away?" "Those are our orders," Kyle said simply. As the Pathfinder jumped to faster than light speed, Lisa pulled Kyle aside into his private office. "I kept digging into those files," she said. "Captain, I think Earth has been lying to everyone. All this time we have been pretending to be weak, but the intelligence reports suggest we have been building something. Something big. Kyle sat down heavily in his chair. What kind of something? I do not know exactly. The files are heavily encrypted, but there are references to projects with names like Shadow Fleet and Veil Protocol. There are budget allocations that do not match our public military spending. Billions of credits going to classified programs that officially do not exist. Why are you telling me this? Kyle asked. Because in 2 days the Kralix are going to attack New Horizon, and I think we are not going to run. I think something else is going to happen, something that will change everything. The next 48 hours passed quickly. The Pathfinder reached New Horizon and began coordinating the evacuation. Thousands of civilians boarded transport ships, heading for safer systems. The colonies, small defense force consisting of 12 old cruisers, moved into position above the planet. Kyle watched the fleet movements on his display. The cruisers were positioning themselves in a strange formation, spread out much farther than normal defensive tactics would suggest. It looked wrong, almost deliberately weak. Captain, the Kralix fleet has arrived at the edge of the system, reported the sensor officer. 412 ships. They are moving toward us. Kyle felt his heart pound. He opened a secure channel to Admiral Frank Carter back on Earth. Carter was the official head of Earth's defense force, though Kyle had never understood why such a small military needed an admiral. Admiral, the Kralix fleet is here, requesting permission to retreat. There was a long pause. Then Carter's voice came through, calm and steady. Negative, Captain Morrison. Hold your position. Continue evacuation operations. Do not engage the enemy. But sir, we will be destroyed. Trust me, Captain, just follow your orders. The Kralix fleet moved closer. Sophie Mitchell was piloting one of the evacuation transports, ferrying the last group of civilians to safety. Through her cockpit window, she could see the small human defense fleet holding position. She did not understand why they were not running. Suddenly, Admiral Carter's voice came through on all military channels. Just 2 words. Drop the veil. Sophie watched in amazement as the 12 old cruisers shimmered and vanished. In their place, hundreds of sleek modern warships appeared out of nowhere. They had been there all along, hidden by some kind of cloaking technology. Behind them, the orbital stations that everyone thought were civilian facilities rotated, revealing massive weapon arrays. Even the moon seemed to change, as huge sections of its surface opened up to show a military base bigger than any city. But the human ships did not fire. They just waited. Admiral Carter opened a channel to Warlord Thexkar. You have 30 seconds to turn around. This is your only warning. For a moment there was silence. Then the Kralix fleet opened fire. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for generations to come. The Kralix weapons fired first. Bright red energy beams shot across space toward the human fleet. Missiles followed, hundreds of them leaving trails of fire as they accelerated. Warlord Thexkar was confident. His fleet had destroyed many enemies before. These humans would be no different, but the human ships moved in ways that should not have been possible. They dodged and weaved through the Kralix weapons with perfect precision. The few shots that did connect splashed harmlessly against shields that glowed bright blue and absorbed every impact, without even flickering. Then the humans fired back. Sophie Mitchell watched from her transport ship, her mouth open in shock. The human weapons were nothing like the old plasma cannons everyone thought they had. These were precise energy beams that cut through Kralix shields like they were not even there. Each shot hit exactly where it was aimed. Kralix ships exploded or went dark, their systems completely disabled. The human missiles moved so fast they were almost invisible. They changed direction in mid-flight, dodging the Kralix defensive fire with ease. Some kind of advanced artificial intelligence was guiding them, making split-second decisions that no living pilot could match. What is happening? Sophie whispered to herself. She had trained at Earth's military academy. She had studied their old, simple weapons. This was not what she had learned about. This was technology decades, maybe centuries, ahead of what humanity was supposed to have. In the Galactic Council chamber, every species representative watched the battle through automated observation posts scattered throughout the system. They had expected to witness humanity's destruction. Instead, they watched in stunned silence as the Kralix fleet was systematically torn apart. Dr. Lisa Grant stood among them, her data pad forgotten in her hands. She had suspected humanity was hiding something, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. The human fleet was not just winning, they were dominating completely. One of the alien ambassadors, an elderly creature from the Vexer species, turned to Lisa. His 4 eyes were wide with shock. "How long has your species been hiding this?" Lisa found her voice after a moment. "Since before we joined the council, I think." "We were not weak. We were waiting." On the bridge of his flagship, Warlord Thexkar roared in rage and confusion. His fleet outnumbered the humans. His ships were the best the Kralix Empire could build. Yet they were losing. Badly. "All ships concentrate fire on the largest human vessel," he ordered. If they could destroy the human flagship, perhaps the others would lose coordination. Over 100 Kralix ships turned their weapons toward a massive human battleship. Every gun fired at once. The amount of energy released was enough to crack a small moon. The human battleship's shields flared bright, absorbing the impact. For a moment it seemed like the Kralix had finally found a weakness. Then the shield stabilized, glowing steadily as if nothing had happened. The human battleship rotated slowly, bringing its main weapons to bear. A single shot fired. It was not a beam or a missile. It was something else entirely. A pulse of energy that rippled through space. When it hit the center of the Kralix formation, 20 ships simply stopped working. Their lights went out. Their engines died. They drifted in space, completely powerless but intact. "They are disabling our ships, not destroying them," said one of Thexkar's officers, his voice filled with disbelief. "They could kill us all, but they are choosing not to." Admiral Frank Carter watched the battle from his hidden command station deep inside an asteroid. Around him, dozens of officers monitored displays showing every aspect of the fight. They had trained for this moment for decades. Everything was going according to plan. "Kralix fleet is down to 60% combat effectiveness," reported one officer. "Estimated time to complete victory 4 minutes. Any sign they are trying to retreat?" Carter asked. "Negative, sir. Thexkar is still ordering his ships to attack." Carter shook his head. Pride and arrogance were going to get a lot of Kralix killed. He opened a channel to the human fleet. "All ships continue disabling protocol. Only destroy vessels that pose an immediate threat. I want as many survivors as possible." The battle lasted exactly 8 minutes and 17 seconds from the first shot to the last. When it was over, the Kralix fleet was in ruins. Half the ships were destroyed. The other half were disabled, drifting in space with no power. The human fleet had lost 0 ships. 3 had minor damage to their shields. That was all. Warlord Thexkar's flagship was one of the disabled vessels. He sat in his dark command center, emergency lights flickering around him, and realized he had made a terrible mistake. The humans had not been weak. They had been patient. A human voice came through his communication system, bypassing his disabled equipment somehow. "Warlord Thexkar, this is Admiral Frank Carter of Earth's Defense Force. Your fleet is defeated. You have 2 choices. Surrender peacefully and your crews will be rescued and treated well. Or continue to resist and we will be forced to destroy what remains of your ships. You have 60 seconds to decide." Thexkar wanted to refuse. His pride demanded it. But he looked around at his dead and dying crew, and the rage slowly faded. He had been beaten completely. There was no honor in getting everyone killed for nothing. "We surrender," he said quietly. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, chaos had broken out. Representatives from every species were shouting questions, demanding answers, or simply sitting in shocked silence. The peaceful Ilarian ambassador was trying to restore order, but no one was listening. Ambassador Chen Wei stepped forward to the center of the chamber. He raised his hand and somehow everyone fell quiet. There was something about his calm demeanor that commanded attention. "I understand you have questions," Chen said, "and humanity is prepared to answer them. But first, understand this. We have been members of this council for 200 years. In all that time, we have never attacked another species. We have never threatened anyone. We have followed every law and honored every treaty. What you saw today was not aggression. It was defense." "Defense?" shouted the Dracor ambassador, a large insectoid creature. "You have been lying to us for 2 centuries. You made us think you were weak while hiding a fleet that could challenge any of us." "Yes," Chen said simply, "and we did. And we did it because we learned from our own history. When a new power emerges and shows its strength, it becomes a target. Everyone either wants to conquer it or form alliances against it. We chose a different path. We chose to appear weak while we prepared for the day someone would try to destroy us. Today was that day. What else are you hiding? Demanded another ambassador. Chen smiled slightly. More than you can imagine. And less than you fear. Humanity has no desire to conquer anyone. But we will never allow ourselves to be conquered. The fleet you saw today is just part of our defense force. We have been watching, learning, and preparing. We know everything about every military in this galaxy. And we have built our defenses accordingly. The chamber fell silent again. Every ambassador was realizing the same thing. Humanity had been studying them, learning their weaknesses, preparing for potential conflicts. For 200 years, humans had been the quiet species in the corner, and everyone had ignored them. That had been humanity's greatest weapon, not their ships or their technology, but their patience and their willingness to wait for the right moment. Dr. Lisa Grant left the council chamber and contacted Captain Kyle Morrison. "Captain, what happens now?" Kyle looked out at the debris field where the battle had taken place. Human rescue ships were already recovering Kralik survivors. Now the galaxy has to decide what to do with us, and we have to decide what kind of power we want to be. The silence that followed was heavy with uncertainty. 3 days after the battle, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. This time it was not held in the usual chamber. Instead, every species sent their highest-ranking leaders. Presidents, emperors, and high chancellors gathered on the neutral station, orbiting the ancient world of Keeper's Rest. Ambassador Chen Wei was recalled to Earth and replaced by someone with more authority. President Marcus Stone himself would represent humanity. It was the first time an Earth leader had ever attended a council meeting in person. Director Helen Park traveled with the president. She was the head of Earth's Intelligence Division, an organization that most aliens did not even know existed. She carried with her a collection of data files that would change the galaxy forever. The council chamber was arranged in a circle, with each species having an equal position. When President Stone entered, the room fell silent. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray hair. He walked with confidence but not arrogance. Behind him came Director Park and Senator Jacob Price, the chairman of Earth's Defense Committee. High Chancellor Vorn of the Vexer species opened the meeting. He was old even by Vexer standards, and his 4 eyes looked tired. "President Stone, this council demands an explanation. You have deceived us for 200 years. You have hidden military power that rivals or exceeds any single member species. You have violated the spirit of trust that holds this council together." President Stone nodded slowly. "You are correct, Chancellor. We have deceived you, and I am here to explain why, and to tell you exactly what humanity has been doing all this time." He gestured to Director Park, who activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images began to appear, floating in the air where everyone could see them. 200 years ago, humanity joined this council as the newest and weakest member. Stone began. "We had just developed faster-than-light travel. We had no experience with galactic politics. We were, as many of you said at the time, children playing in a dangerous universe." Images showed Earth's first contact with alien species, the negotiations to join the council, and the early years when humanity struggled to be taken seriously. "We studied your histories," Stone continued. "We learned about the wars you had fought, the species that had been destroyed, the empires that had risen and fallen. And we learned one important lesson. In this galaxy, showing weakness is an invitation to be conquered." Director Park spoke up, her voice clear and professional. "So we made a decision. We would appear weak on the surface while building our true strength in secret. We established the Intelligence Division and gave it a simple mission: learn everything about everyone." New images appeared. They showed monitoring stations hidden in asteroid fields, stealth ships that could watch other species without being detected, networks of informants and surveillance satellites scattered across the galaxy. "For 200 years we have been watching you," Park said, "not because we wanted to invade or conquer, but because we needed to survive. We needed to know who might threaten us. We needed to understand your military capabilities, your technologies, your strategies." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The idea that humanity had been spying on them for centuries was disturbing. "Show them the extent," President Stone said quietly. Director Park touched a control, and the holographic display exploded with information. Lines connected hundreds of star systems, showing the vast network of human surveillance. Each alien homeworld was marked, along with their major military bases, shipyards, and defensive installations. We have monitoring stations in every major system in the galaxy, Park stated, including all of your homeworlds. We have been recording your fleet movements, your military exercises, your weapons tests. We know your defensive capabilities down to the smallest detail. We know your contingency plans, your war strategies, your alliance agreements. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several ambassadors stood up, shouting accusations. The Dracor Emperor, a massive insectoid with razor-sharp mandibles, pointed at Stone with one of his 6 arms. This is an act of war. You have violated our sovereignty. You have spied on us like criminals. President Stone waited for the noise to die down. When he spoke again, his voice was firm. Yes, we spied on you, and in doing so, we prevented 17 wars. That got everyone's attention. The chamber fell silent. Senator Jacob Price stood up carrying a datapad. May I present evidence? At Vorn's nod, he activated another display. 80 years ago, the Mecron Empire was planning to launch a surprise attack on the Ilarian homeworld. The attack would have killed billions. Humanity leaked information about the Mecron military buildup to Ilarian intelligence. The Ilarians reinforced their defenses. The Mecron saw this and canceled the attack. He scrolled through more files. 60 years ago, a rogue faction within the Krellix military was developing a biological weapon designed to target the Ulari species. Humanity arranged for that research facility to be destroyed in what appeared to be an industrial accident. The Ulari never knew they were in danger. Senator Price continued listing incidents. Each one showed a potential conflict or genocide that had been prevented by human intervention. The aliens in the chamber listened with growing realization. Humanity had not just been watching, they had been protecting. We did not want to rule you, President Stone said. We wanted to make sure that no species would face extinction simply because they were deemed weak or inconvenient. We used our knowledge to prevent wars, not start them. But you also built weapons, said the Ilarian ambassador, her voice gentle but concerned. The fleet we saw at New Horizon. What else do you have? Director Park smiled slightly. Would you like to see? Another display activated. This one showed human shipyards hidden in dark space, far from any inhabited system. Massive construction facilities building thousands of ships. Weapons platforms disguised as civilian satellites orbiting every human world. Underground bases on moons and asteroids throughout human territory. Our public fleet consists of about 60 ships, Park said. Our actual military includes over 10,000 combat vessels. Most of them are hidden, held in reserve for emergencies. We also have defensive installations on every human colony that could, if necessary, destroy attacking fleets before they get close. 10,000 ships, whispered one of the ambassadors. That is larger than any single species military. Yes, Stone agreed. But we have never used them aggressively. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier exists for one purpose: to ensure that humanity survives. We will never start a war, but we will end any war that threatens us. Senator Price activated one final display. It showed computer simulations of battles. In each one, humanity faced different opponents. The Krellix Empire, the Dracor, even theoretical scenarios where all Council species united against Earth. In every simulation, humanity won. Our artificial intelligence systems have run over 10,000 war scenarios, Price explained. We have tested every possible conflict against every possible enemy. We have calculated the outcomes with and without various weapon systems. And in every case, if we are forced to defend ourselves, we will win. The chamber was completely silent now. The weight of what they were seeing was crushing. Humanity had not just prepared for war. They had made it mathematically certain that they could not lose. You may be wondering what other weapons we have, Stone said. Weapons we did not use against the Krellix. I will tell you about one, just so you understand the level of our preparation. He paused, making sure everyone was listening. We have developed technology that can disrupt faster than light travel. If we activate it, your ships cannot jump. They become trapped in normal space, moving at speeds that would take years to cross a system. Imagine your entire fleet suddenly unable to retreat, unable to call for reinforcements, unable to do anything but fight or surrender. That would change everything, Vorn said quietly. Trade, communication, military operations, everything in our galaxy depends on FTL travel. Exactly, Stone replied. We could shut down galactic civilization if we wanted to, but we do not want to. We never wanted power over you. We just wanted to make sure no one had power over us. Director Park added, there are other systems I will not describe. Weapons we hope to never use. Defense systems that would make invading Earth impossible. Technologies that could end civilizations. But understand this, all of that power exists only to prevent its own use. We built weapons so terrible that no rational species would fight us, and in doing so we hope to ensure peace. High Chancellor Vorn looked around at the other representatives. He saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. Understanding, perhaps. Or respect. What do you want from us now? Vorn asked. Why reveal all of this? President Stone's expression softened. Because hiding is no longer possible. The Kralix forced us to show our strength. Now every species in the galaxy knows the truth. So we must move forward with honesty. We want to remain members of this council. We want to continue working toward peace. But we will not pretend to be weak anymore. We will not hide what we are. And what are you? Asked the Ilarian ambassador. Guardians, Stone said simply. We are the species that watches in the dark. The ones who prevent wars before they start. The power that... The galaxy's reaction to humanity's revelation was immediate and divided. Within days, 3 distinct groups formed among the council species. The Ilarian Empire led the first group. They were a peaceful species that had always believed in diplomacy over warfare. Their ambassador, a graceful being named Serena, argued that humanity had actually helped maintain peace. She pointed to the 17 prevented conflicts and the fact that humans had never used their power aggressively. Dr. Lisa Grant worked closely with Serena, providing documentation of every instance where humanity had secretly intervened to stop wars. They presented their case to smaller species who feared becoming caught between larger powers. Many of these species began to see humanity not as a threat, but as a potential protector. The second group was more dangerous. The Dracor Empire, a militaristic species that valued strength above all else, saw humanity as an existential threat. Their emperor Kazdrak began secretly organizing a coalition. His argument was simple. If humanity could hide this much power, what else were they hiding? Better to strike now before humans became even stronger. The Dracor were not alone. 6 other species joined their secret coalition. They included the Vexen military faction that disagreed with High Chancellor Vorn, parts of the fragmented Kralix Empire, and several smaller aggressive species. Together, they began planning what they called a preemptive defense operation. The third and largest group was paralyzed by fear. These species froze all diplomatic relations with humanity. They recalled their ambassadors and closed their borders to human ships. They did not want war, but they did not want contact either. They simply wanted to hide and hope the situation resolved itself. Captain Kyle Morrison returned to Earth for reassignment. He met with Admiral Frank Carter in a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. The room was deep underground, protected by layers of security that Kyle had never seen before. I want to show you something, Carter said. He led Kyle through several corridors to a massive vault door. Inside was a single room with a glass case in the center. Inside the case was a data chip labeled Final Protocol. What is that? Kyle asked. Carter's expression was grim. Our last resort. If humanity is ever faced with extinction, if diplomacy and defense both fail, we activate the Final Protocol. Every species that attacked us loses their ability to make war. Permanently. What does that mean? It means we shut down their militaries completely. Their weapons stop working. Their ships lose power. Their defense satellites go dark. We do not destroy them. We simply make it impossible for them to fight. Ever again. Kyle felt cold. That is genocide of a different kind. Taking away a species' ability to defend themselves. Yes, Carter agreed. It is terrible. It is unthinkable. But it is also the only way to guarantee humanity's survival if everything else fails. We have the power to remove the threat permanently, without killing billions of people. The question is whether we should use it. The decision about the Final Protocol would soon become urgent, because the Dracor coalition was moving faster than anyone expected. Commander Nina Wells was a pilot in humanity's stealth reconnaissance fleet. Her ship was smaller than a fighter craft, coated in materials that made it nearly invisible to sensors. She spent her days drifting silently near alien installations, watching and recording. 3 weeks after the council meeting, Nina detected something unusual near a Dracor military research facility. Energy readings that matched descriptions of quantum weapons, a technology that was banned by galactic law because of its destructive power. She sent her report immediately to Intelligence Division. Within hours, Director Helen Park briefed President Stone. The Dracor are building a quantum weapon, Park said. The same type that was used to destroy the Helian sun 50 years ago. If they deploy it against our sun, Earth and all our inner colonies would be destroyed. President Stone felt his blood run cold. How long until it is operational? Unknown. But we are detecting similar energy signatures at 6 other locations. They are not building one weapon. They are building multiple weapons, probably planning to attack several human systems simultaneously. Do we have proof they plan to use them against us? Director Park hesitated. Not direct proof. But why else would they build weapons banned by galactic law? And our sources indicate they are coordinating with the remaining Kralix military. The president called an emergency meeting with his military advisors. Admiral Carter was there, along with Senator Price and other key leaders. The discussion lasted for hours. We could strike first, Carter suggested. Destroy the quantum weapons before they are completed. Show overwhelming force and end the threat. Immediately. That would make us the aggressors, countered Senator Price. It would unite the galaxy against us. Or we could activate the final protocol, another advisor said quietly. Remove the threat permanently. President Stone rubbed his temples. He felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. We will not strike first, and we will not activate the final protocol unless we have no choice. But we will prepare, put our fleets on alert, move additional forces to defensive positions, and find me more intelligence about what the Dracor are planning. The answer came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Amy Foster was part of a special operations team that conducted covert missions in alien territory. She was currently on a Dracor station, disguised as a traitor, when she intercepted a communication between Dracor military leaders and warlord Thexkar. The communication was clear. The coalition planned to strike in 2 weeks. They would use the quantum weapons to destroy human suns, while simultaneously attacking human colonies with conventional forces. The goal was total extermination. They believed humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to exist. Amy transmitted her findings and evacuated quickly. By the time her message reached Earth, the countdown had already begun. President Stone faced the most difficult decision of his life. He could reveal the plot to the Galactic Council, but there was no guarantee they would act in time. He could wait for the attack and respond defensively, but millions might die. Or he could take preemptive action and be labeled an aggressor. He called one final meeting, this time including Captain Kyle Morrison and Dr. Lisa Grant via secure communication. I need different perspectives, Stone said. Kyle, you are a diplomat. What do you think? Kyle thought carefully. Mr. President, if we strike first, we become what they fear. But if we do nothing and millions die, we fail in our duty to protect our people. Is there a middle path? What if we evacuate? Suggested Lisa. Pull our people back to the core systems, let them waste their weapons on empty colonies, then respond with overwhelming force. That shows weakness, Admiral Carter argued. They will see it as confirmation that we are afraid. It might encourage more attacks in the future. Senator Price had been quiet, but now he spoke. What if we turn their plan against them? Let them think their attack will succeed, but be ready to intercept. When they launch the quantum weapons, we capture them. Then we have proof of their intentions and the moral authority to respond. President Stone considered this. It was risky, but it might work. Admiral, can we intercept the weapons in flight? If we know where they are launching from and when, yes. Our interception systems are designed for exactly this kind of threat. Then that is what we will do, Stone decided. We prepare to intercept. We document everything. We give them every chance to turn back. But if they follow through with this attack, we respond with such overwhelming force that no one will ever threaten humanity again. Not to destroy them, but to ensure they can never threaten anyone. The orders went out immediately. Human fleets moved into position but stayed hidden. Evacuation plans were prepared but not executed. Intelligence assets focused all their efforts on tracking the coalition's movements. Sophie Mitchell found herself assigned to the interception fleet. She was no longer a simple transport pilot. After her actions during the Kralix attack, she had been recruited into the military proper and fast-tracked through advanced training. Now she piloted one of humanity's newest stealth fighters. Do you think they will really try it? she asked her squadron leader during a briefing. Yes, the leader replied. They are too committed to back out now. They have convinced themselves that we are a threat that must be eliminated. They will attack, and when they do, we will show them exactly how wrong they are. As the days counted down, tension built throughout human space. Civilians did not know what was happening, but they could sense something was wrong. Military leaves were canceled. Ships moved to unusual positions. The news talked vaguely about increased security concerns. In the Dracor Empire, Emperor Kazdrak met with his coalition partners one final time. Warlord Thexkar was there, his pride still wounded from his defeat at New Horizon. The other species leaders gathered around a holographic display showing their battle plan. In 7 days we strike, Kazdrak announced. The quantum weapons will eliminate their major population centers. Our conventional forces will sweep through and occupy what remains. Humanity will be broken, and the galaxy will see that we acted to protect everyone from a dangerous threat. None of them realized that humanity was listening to every word. Commander Nina Wells, still in her stealth ship, had positioned herself. The attack came exactly when intelligence predicted. 7 Dracor quantum weapons launched simultaneously from hidden facilities across Coalition space. Each one was aimed at a different human star system. Each one carried enough destructive power to ignite a sun into a supernova. But humanity was ready. Admiral Frank Carter watched from his command center as the weapons appeared on long-range sensors. Around him, dozens of officers tracked every detail. This moment had been planned for weeks. Every ship was in position. Every system was ready. Launch interception, Carter ordered calmly. Across human space, invisible defense platforms activated. They had been placed months ago, disguised as space debris or small asteroids. Now they revealed their true purpose. Powerful tractor beams reached out, grabbing the quantum weapons as they passed. The weapons tried to activate their engines to break free, but the tractor beams were too strong. Within minutes, all 7 weapons were captured intact. Not one had reached its target. At the same moment, the Coalition's conventional military forces attacked 3 human colonies. Over 600 ships appeared in each system, ready to overwhelm what they thought would be minimal defenses. Instead, they found full battle fleets waiting for them. Sophie Mitchell was part of the defensive force at New Horizon, the same colony where the Kralliks had attacked weeks before. This time there were no tricks, no hidden ships. The human fleet was completely visible and they outnumbered the attackers. All ships weapons free, came the command. Disable when possible, destroy only when necessary. The battle was brief and decisive. Human weapons had already proven superior against the Kralliks. Now they demonstrated that advantage again. Coalition ships fell quickly, their shields unable to withstand the precision attacks. Those that tried to retreat found their FTL drives disrupted, just as President Stone had warned was possible. Within 2 hours, all 3 colony attacks had failed. The Coalition fleets were destroyed or captured. Human casualties were minimal, but Admiral Carter was not finished. He had one more message to send. The quantum weapon that had been aimed at Earth's sun was the largest and most powerful. Instead of dismantling it, Carter had his engineers reprogram it. They set new coordinates, pointing it at an empty region of space far from any inhabited system. Then they detonated it. The explosion was visible from half the galaxy. It shone brighter than any star, releasing energy that every species' sensors could detect. The readings showed exactly what it was, a quantum weapon detonation. But instead of destroying a civilization, it was a demonstration. The message was clear. Humanity had the power to destroy stars, and they chose not to use it. President Marcus Stone stood before a camera, preparing to broadcast a message that would be transmitted to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Behind him stood Director Helen Park, Senator Jacob Price, and Admiral Carter. They had all agreed that this moment required absolute clarity. The broadcast began. Stone's face appeared on billions of screens across hundreds of worlds. People of the galaxy, he began, his voice steady and strong. For 200 years, humanity has lived among you. We traded with you, learned from you, and worked alongside you. During that time, we prepared for a day we hoped would never come. Today, 7 species attempted to exterminate humanity. They launched weapons designed to destroy our suns and kill billions of our people. They attacked our colonies with the intent to leave no survivors. Images appeared beside Stone, showing the captured quantum weapons and the wreckage of Coalition fleets. We stopped them. We captured their weapons before they could harm anyone. We defeated their fleets while minimizing casualties on both sides. We demonstrated the quantum weapon in empty space so everyone could see what we prevented. We could have used those weapons against our attackers. We chose not to. Stone paused, letting that sink in. The weapons you have seen represent less than 10% of our true capabilities. What you do not see is what keeps the peace. On cue, something extraordinary happened. Every communication network in the galaxy suddenly carried a second signal, overlaying Stone's message. It was an artificial intelligence announcing its presence. "I am Guardian," the AI said in a voice that was neither male nor female, neither threatening nor comforting. It simply existed. "I am humanity's first true artificial intelligence, created 70 years ago and kept hidden until this moment. I manage Earth's defense systems, coordinate their military networks, and monitor galactic security." To demonstrate, Guardian did something that should have been impossible. Across the galaxy, military networks that were supposed to be completely secure suddenly displayed the same message. Access granted. Guardian had hacked into the Dracor military network, the Kralik systems, and even the Galactic Council's most protected servers. Then just as quickly, Guardian withdrew, leaving everything intact. "I could disable any military in this galaxy," Guardian stated. "I could make your weapons refuse to fire, your ships refuse to move, your defense systems shut down. But I will not unless forced to protect humanity. I exist to ensure that no species ever faces extinction, because they are deemed inconvenient or dangerous." The broadcast returned to President Stone. "We do not want to rule you. We do not want to conquer you, but we will ensure that strength is never used for extermination. Any species that attempts to commit genocide will find their military capabilities permanently neutralized, not through destruction but through control. Your weapons will become useless. You will be rendered harmless." He looked directly into the camera. "This is not a threat. This is a promise. We will protect the weak from the strong. We will prevent wars before they start. And we will ensure that no civilization is ever destroyed simply because someone else decided they should not exist." The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy there was silence. In the Dracor Imperial Palace, Emperor Kazdrak stared at a blank screen. His military was in ruins. His quantum weapons were captured. And worst of all, he now knew that humanity could shut down his entire empire with a thought. Warlord Thexkar sat in a prison cell on a human station, watching the broadcast. He had lost twice to humanity now. He finally understood what he had been fighting. Not a weak species pretending to be strong, but a powerful species that had been pretending to be weak. The difference mattered. High Chancellor Vorn called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. This time there was no debate about what to do. The Council issued a formal apology to humanity and proposed a new charter for galactic governance, one where humanity would take a leadership role in maintaining peace. But President Stone declined. Ambassador Chen Wei delivered the response in person. "We do not seek to rule you," Chen explained. "We will remain members of this council, equal partners in peace. But understand that we are also the guardians who watch in the dark. We ensure that the strong do not destroy the weak. We maintain the balance. You may not always see us, but we are there." The Ilarian ambassador, Serena, asked the question everyone was thinking. "What happens now?" "Now we move forward," Chen said simply. "The galaxy knows the truth. No more deception. No more hiding. We exist as we are. And the galaxy decides how to live with that knowledge." 5 years passed. The changes were gradual but profound. Captain Kyle Morrison now commanded the flagship of humanity's public fleet, the Defender. It was one of the new generation of ships, designed to show humanity's strength openly rather than hiding it. He traveled the galaxy, conducting diplomacy backed by visible power. Dr. Lisa Grant became the Council's chief mediator. When disputes arose between species, she helped them find peaceful solutions. Her work prevented dozens of potential conflicts. She often thought about those 17 wars humanity had secretly stopped. Now they were stopping wars openly, with everyone's cooperation. Sophie Mitchell trained new pilots at Earth's military academy. The academy was no longer secret. Young people from dozens of species came to study human tactics and technology. Humanity shared some of their knowledge with trusted allies, helping them improve their own defenses. Lieutenant Amy Foster, now Colonel Foster, oversaw the dismantling of humanity's most dangerous weapons. The final protocol was never activated, and President Stone ordered its eventual destruction. Some weapons were so terrible that even keeping them was too dangerous. Better to eliminate them and trust that humanity's other capabilities would be enough. Admiral Frank Carter retired from active service and became a teacher. He gave the same final lesson to every graduating class at the academy. Power means nothing without restraint. We became strong to protect, not to conquer. Remember that, or we become the monsters we armed ourselves to fight. The galaxy entered an era of unprecedented peace, not because everyone loved each other, but because everyone understood the consequences of war. Aggressive species thought carefully before starting conflicts. Weaker species knew they had a protector. The balance was maintained not by force, but by the knowledge that force existed and would be used fairly. The Dracor Empire slowly rebuilt, this time focusing on trade and culture rather than military conquest. Emperor Kazdrak was replaced by his daughter, who believed in cooperation over domination. The Kralliks fragmented into smaller states, some of which became peaceful trading partners.